You know, I think I would have actually preferred Martin Scorsese's The Great Gatsby starring Vincent Chase. Entourage, baby.
Gatsby. He had a grand vision for his life since he was a boy.
Hey everybody, welcome to MaffmanJones Movie Reviews. I am John Maffio, aka MaffmanJones. I understand that I am breaking out and I am bleeding more than the Virgin Mary's vagina. But today's film is Baz Luhrmann's The Great Gatsby adaptation, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Spider-Man himself, Tobey Maguire, Carey Mulligan, and Joel Edgerton. The story is based on the famous novel written by the great F. Scott Fitzgerald, and it takes us through the character of Nick Carraway, played by Tobey Maguire, who moves into a tiny little house, but next to him is a neighbor in a giant, enormous castle, and who lives in this castle? The great Jay Gatsby. How is he famous? How is he rich? Well, we'll just have to find out. Now, to get this thing started, I was a fortunate soul who had the opportunity to read The Great Gatsby in high school. If I'm being correct, it was sophomore year. And it was one of the only books that I actually enjoyed reading, aside from Of Mice and Men, and possibly The Kite Runner. And it was pretty anticipated because people are fans of Baz Luhrmann and his visual style, like Moulin Rouge, Romeo and Juliet. And it had potential to be a really, really good novel adaptation. Turns out it was okay. To get the acting out of the way, everybody did a good job with their character roles. Leo himself did suit the role for Jay Gatsby well enough. Tobey did a fine job of carrying the movie with his character Nick Carraway, and he does narrate a lot, and it isn't annoying. Joel Edgerton, however, really brought his character to life more so than the other actors, and he did the best job in this movie. Baz Luhrmann's directing style and his visuals for the Roaring Twenties, the 1920s, suited the movie well too. There's quite an extreme embellishment of the times between the aesthetics of the clothes that everybody wore and the actual look of New York City during that time. I really felt immersed into that atmosphere, although there was an overabundance of CGI when it came to the actual look and landscape of the city, and it came off a little fake at times. For one, it felt like the movie expected its audience to know the book before going into it, because the movie starts off really quickly paced. Essentially, it felt like too much was happening too fast, and that has nothing to do with the visuals, because the visuals were okay. They were a little too over-embellished and a little too over-decorative, but it fit the movie for the atmosphere. What I had a problem with was the rapid editing and the awkward music transitions. The first act doesn't allow you to breathe at all because it just flies through scenes like really quickly. But then halfway through it slows down, not to a halt, but to a good enough pace where you can actually start enjoying and taking in the moment. The second act on is when the movie actually became engaging because the scenes slowed down, allowing for the actors to chew up scenery and actually make something with the script, which the script comes from the F. Scott Fitzgerald novel. Even though the film for the most part does feel like a really cheesy Broadway play, there is some really good emotion in there, and the romance, in my opinion, was pretty convincing between Carey Mulligan and Leonardo DiCaprio. Also, a lot of the music just didn't fit in this movie. It was quite uncomfortable and awkward. A lot of it was Jay-Z, and just hearing H to the Izzo, it didn't make sense to me. I am an advocate for rap. I enjoy Jay-Z music. It just really did not fit with Jay Gatsby. It seemed like it was just trying to appeal to a younger crowd, and it seemed apparent that this happened particularly more times than it should have, where the movie would just slow down and just focus on aspects that just had nothing to do with the movie itself, like the parties. Like, it seemed like, this is Baz Luhrmann though, where the movie would just focus in on people dancing or people in a car dancing to Jay-Z on the Queensboro Bridge, and it would just sit there and just focus on these characters who have nothing to do with the story for like 20 to 30 seconds, and it was just incredibly uncomfortable from my experience. It's genuinely arduous to actually explain this, but if you've seen a Baz Luhrmann film, you have an idea of where I'm coming from. Unfortunately, even though the movie does slow down in the middle half to ooze out story and emotion, this seems like style over substance. Very fairly. I did find a lot of good scenes in the movie. I did enjoy a lot of it, but it just wasn't a movie that I feel like I can bring myself to watch again. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when Leonardo DiCaprio first appears on screen as Jay Gatsby, and mind you, my theater was capacitated with plenty of women, women just let out a collective sigh of moistening awe. I could just feel the sex in that theater. Given everything I've said, I will give The Great Gatsby a 2 out of 5, a Sam Worthington. Despite that rating, this movie is far from generic. It's just not anything special in my opinion. I do believe that general audiences and fans of the book will enjoy this movie, a good portion of them. I think teenagers will love this movie because of the romance and just the overall aesthetics of the movie and just how obnoxious and how crazy it is. And if you're a guy and you have a girlfriend, I do encourage you and I implore you to take her out to see Great Gatsby this weekend because it will definitely boost your chances of getting laid significantly. Absolutely never underestimate the sexual power of Leonardo DiCaprio. Even though Ryan Gosling is pretty much up there too. The both of them might be in a big blonde deadlock. The ladies love him. And I do too. If you plan to see Great Gatsby, or you have already seen The Great Gatsby, let me know anything about this movie, any previous adaptations, or the novel in the comments down below. Please subscribe to MaffmanJones, like this video, and check out Facebook, Twitter, and We Live Film in the info box. I am John Maffio, and see you next time, old sport.
My life has got to be like this. It's got to keep going on.